Hey, it's Tony Sweet from Truth Be Told. In 1975, our guest, Travis Walton, was abducted by a UFO, which turned into a book in 1978, The Walton Experience, and then a movie, Fire in the Sky, in 1993. This is a great interview. We hope you enjoy it. I know we did, right here on Truth Be Told.
Welcome back to Truth Be Told. I'm, of course, Captain Ron with Tony Sweet. We are here at the 70th anniversary of Roswell, New Mexico, and we are very, very honored and pleased to have Travis Walton with us. Travis, thanks. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming over. Travis, of course, is one of the best-known abductees, and he's got a very, very unique case, and it's he has conscious memories from his abduction, which is unusual. Abduction is probably not the right word for what happened. Right?
Well, I've accepted the term, even though it's not precise. It's not precisely accurate, but. Right. You know, it's called that, and that's good enough. But you know, I've sort of redefined the nature of the incident in subsequent years, and
well, yours is such a unique experience compared to most abductions. You know, like they say, how it comes through families and over. Yours was an isolated incident, right?
Yeah.
And that's very unique, and that you consciously remember it's very unique.
Well, you know, I don't know how to characterize it relative to other events, but it's certainly one of a kind.
And this was in 1975?
That's correct, November 5th, 1975.
And so, here, go ahead. So, I find it fascinating, for your life has changed quite a bit just from the incident itself.
Yeah, I could never be the same again.
Yeah,
you know.
but what do you feel that the exposing the truth to the society as a whole has helped you therapeutically, or?
Well, I never thought about it that way, helping me. I thought of it as trying to make some good come of it.
Right.
That, you know, it could be a benefit to society to be aware that this is real.
Right.
But
because I couldn't imagine going through my whole entire life and not, you know, letting that out.
Purging it,
yeah, purging it.
I guess, you know, in a sense, it probably has helped. You know, the longer I talked about it, the more desensitized I became to the trauma of it.
Wasn't it true, Travis, that your perspective on it's changed too? I've been following you for years, and I know that I think that you've said that it's changed. That when you first thought they were hurting you, where you've evolved into they were helping you.
Yeah, you know, I interpret it as kind of an abduction and an assault, you know, as an unfortunate thing. But, you know, over time I came to realize, trying to figure out why did this happen, and it was because of what I did. And
because you came too close, is that?
Yeah. So I brought it on myself, and I apparently made it necessary for them to take me aboard in order to, you know, just revive me. Had that not happened, it probably would have been fatal. You know, that the nearest hospital was over an hour away. None of the crew knew CPR, and the consequences of what happened there would have been, you know, permanently fatal had they not taken me aboard. So
now, retrospectively, it's like they were helping you, like you said, and it luckily revived you. Do you recall, maybe you could share a little bit with Tony and people that maybe aren't as familiar with the story, can you tell us a little bit about that experience when you were actually aboard that ship? Because, I mean, that's the exciting part to us, that, my God, you're one of the only person I've ever met that's got to have something like that happen. Wow, what was that like?
Well, I didn't have an opportunity to ponder in one.
Take that right. Was it terror?
In wonder. Oh, I was in total hysteria. I was totally fearful. It was very negative, my perception of it at that time. But probably shouldn't have been, you know, if I'd you know, had my wits about me. But
how could you possibly have your wits about you?
I did not have my wits about me. I had totally lost my mind in fear.
Yeah. And so was it just like, I want out?
That's all I was thinking. It was a one driving thought: get out of here somehow. Right. And a not very sophisticated analysis, you know, just get me out of here.
That's
anyway.
all I would be focused on.
And so how did they, or did they ever calm you down? Was it
telepathically, or?
I think it was basically anesthesia.
Really? Like, give me some.
Yeah, they put a mask over my face, and I think this gas caused me to lose consciousness.
I'm curious, when you first touched the UFO and you were zapped, when, from that point until you actually came to, did you, I know this may sound a little more spiritual, did you remember anything like like see your body, outer body experience?
No,
or?
that's an interesting thought, but no. I've many times I've heard the other crewmen's accounts of witnessing what happened to me, and how the minute they saw that blast of energy, that they were certain it killed me. I mean, it was oh he must be hurt. No, I mean they just knew I was dead. Yeah, and so from their point of view, that was pretty horrific. Right. And when they finally did decide to come back, the quandary was, are we going to be able to tolerate how his body's going to look? Right. They expected me dead, but charred, right. Am I going to be charred or even in one piece? Right. So that was took a lot of courage for them to do that, to come back, even though they saw the craft leaving. They didn't know that it wouldn't return, and so I give those guys a huge amount of credit for trying to come back and see if they could help.
And how long did it take you to realize that? Was it a year, 10 years, 20 years before you realized that it saved your life?
It was a gradual dawning awareness. The fact that those guys, tried to come back and tried to help me, is something that I came to appreciate more and more all the time. And trying to make sense of it, figuring out why would this happen? Why would this happen? The only thing that came to make sense was they took me aboard in order to revive me. Right. Because had they not, I'm certain that was fatal. Right. That would have been a heck of a report. Right. Our coworker's dead, and here's why. Right.
Well, I was a football player back in the late '80s, and I had a knee injury. For many years, it didn't bother me at all. Mm-hmm. But as I got to my late 40s now, I'm starting to feel those injuries. Do you have any, aches, pains, that are...
You mean physical?
Yeah, physical, that you still feel today from that incident?
No.
None at all?
No. Actually, I was sort of anticipating the development of some sort of syndrome or something. I was fearful of that. And the longer time went on, the more it became apparent that wasn't going to happen, that I was actually remarkably healthy. And I didn't even want to talk about that until I could actually go in to my employers and get the attendance printout to prove that I never called in sick in 40 years.
Wow. That's a long time.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
No, I try to live healthy, and it could just be unlucky.
Right. Right. I was wondering. Well, if we could just go back to that for a second. I know you were in a state of panic on the ship, but I'd love people to hear if you recall what they looked like, because and this has to be horrifying, because
the studio was
a little bit something wrong with their nose, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing something totally different?
Oh yeah. To see something that's conscious, you look it into the eyes of something conscious but not human. It's the weirdest feeling.
I can't even imagine.
The closest analogy I could have is at the zoo. You're looking into the eyes of a primate. And there's a certain.
You can see their soul.
Yeah. And that's kind of has a disturbing effect, but more so. Just exponentially so.
Were these sort of like typical gray alien looking things? That
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was like that. So that is kind of true then. This keeps
They didn't have the term grays back
Right.
then, but
right.
when the studio saw that there was a depiction of similar aliens on a TV series, they said, no, we're going to pull the plug on this unless you change the whole abduction sequence.
This is something else we should get into. Travis and I have talked a little bit over at his table a couple times, and at Contact I spoke with him about this. When obviously he made the movie, was his story, Fire in the Sky, was told. It's not an actual, it's not a very accurate description of what happened as your person, and you wanted it to be. And as I said to Travis today, it's like, it doesn't make sense to me. This is such an amazing story. Why can't it just be, on its face value, an amazing story? Why do we have to Hollywood it up with extra lights and extra alien?
Yeah, and I've collected hundreds of emails from people who said, I don't care how razzle-dazzle you want to change it. I want it what really happened.
Right, that's what I want. I want the truth.
I'll bind all those emails together and I'll take them to the studio one day and say, see, people just want what really happened.
It's such a misnomer that those guys believe they have to Hollywood it up.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. This is such a compelling story, and I would like to see as close to you remembering what happened so that I can imagine it happening to me and then make my judgment of, God, what are they here for? What is this? What's going on? Who are they? Where'd they come from? All these other big questions.
Yeah.
I don't need this light show and nonsense.
No.
It's really, it's a shame. It probably is
and I
frustrating
gave a
people.
talk here a while back to a group of just Hollywood people, just producers and directors and actors and like that. And I was telling them, the concept of an alien civilization, even for fiction, gives you such an unlimited number of storylines that to keep coming back to the invading monsters line is hackneyed. It's worn out. There's so many possibilities that are just left untapped here.
And it's sad. We're beating a dead horse, and we have an opportunity for just an amazing. And that would be great. We've never really seen a true, like Tony said, they have stuff that's based on a true story.
Yeah.
We've never really seen an accurate portrayal where somebody who was abducted or whatever says, yep, that's exactly what had happened. I even like when they show drawings to people who've had an experience, and you can point and say, yep, look just like that.
Yeah.
Not this, not this, not this, but that.
Yeah.
You're the ones that know.
Yeah. And, that's what people are hungry for.
That is, and that's how when I talk to other people, that's what they want to see. I know that's what I do. And you're hoping they have this done, right, Travis?
That's right. I'm in discussion with a number of producers, directors, who...
Are you running in opposition? They want to do their story, or are they?
No, once I tell them, look, I want to tell it accurately. They don't quibble with that.
They don't.
No.
Well, that's good, because that's what I want to see. I want to see the ship looking how you thought it looked, the aliens looking how you thought it looked, and then then you can tell real.
Yeah.
It's not this nonsense movie. Well, that's great. I hope this project gets
Well, the emotional experience of having gone through this, to be accused of murder, to be accused of being crazy or lying, all of those things, it put a huge amount of drama into our lives. And, that's untapped potential for a script writer.
This is a huge thing that we overlook. We talked to Jesse Marcel, the third out here. His father, look at the hell that guy went through, making him ridiculed. Yourself, accused of murder and all these horrible things. These guys have been through. You've already had this hellish experience of the alien thing. Yeah. Now you got to deal with this nonsense from asshole humans.
Yeah.
But
incredible.
Don't you think the powers that be, Hollywood, in some ways are working together because they want to make us fearful of aliens?
Could that be true?
Yeah. It's just an easy card to play,
Yeah.
Let's make a scary alien movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's a little bit more cerebral, a little bit more thoughtful, and there's an enormous potential here.
Right.
The people's imaginations want to go there. They want to reach out to what what other forms of existence are there? Whatever ways of looking at the world and the universe, and how other civilizations could be. I mean, the potential is enormous. So it's untapped potential.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now that it's been so many years, Travis, looking back on this, I know your experience was horrifying at the time and everything. And since it's not a typical abduction experience, what do you feel, what do you wildly guess, just spitballing, would you say that you think is going on? Do you think that they were observing humans? Do you think and do you think it's interplanetary?
I do think they're observing
Uh-huh.
and learning from watching us develop. I think they see similarities in their own development. And also I think their intention is benign, that they would like to tweak us in a few directions to make things come out in a better way.
Yeah. You think it's possible that they already have? I mean, a lot of people...
Oh yeah, I do think that they are inspiring people, you know.
Yeah.
I've, you know, encountered a great deal of musicians and actors and even scientists who believe that the aliens have inspired them in positive ways, you know.
I meant even further back than that, where some people believe that could be the missing link, that they played with our DNA and made us human.
Maybe all along. Who knows, you know.
We don't know. I mean, that's 100,000 years ago, but I mean...
I do think there's an non-interference directive. I think there's a line they won't cross. They don't want to just dump a bunch of technology in here.
Now, this is
Here's a big box of matches.
Right,
Humans go play with it,
right,
you know.
Right. I think that's interesting. Like Stan was in here saying that he saw, you know, once we had the nuclear fusion, that really aroused their curiosity and made them keep an eye on us. Because now we have that power, and that's scary.
And so, you know, extrapolate from that.
Right.
You know, with their level of technological understanding, you know, yeah, we can destroy entire cities, but they can probably destroy entire star systems.
Right.
So the idea that they want this planet in some nefarious way, I think is absurd.
Sure, if they would have done it.
They would have done it already.
Right.
We'd have never known what hit us.
Yeah.
So the idea that there's something to oppose is silly. You know, I do think just by deduction that their intentions must be neutral, at least, possibly benign, you know.
Yeah, and Dr. Jacobs says how it's like, you know, they don't care what we think. They're not going to land on the White House lawn and talk to us. They're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's like us pulling ants out of the jungle and the thing. We don't stop and talk to them and let them know what
Yeah, at the least. It doesn't matter what we think.
Right. It doesn't matter what we think.
The best case scenario is that they would like to help us, you know. People like Nikola Tesla, you know, believe that, you know, some of these ideas and this technology were coming to him from aliens. And there's quite a number of people who believe that they strategically inspire humans to do things that are, you know, beneficial.
Yep. And usually it comes over and over and over. That's what's so unique, too, about your situation, that it was that one isolated incident in your life, this one moment that changed your life and those around you unmeasurably, and it never happened again.
But would you, if you could go, so let's say you could time travel, would you, if you could time travel and you could go back, would you not touch it?
I'd stay in the truck.
Stay in the truck. See,
Yeah.
oh boy, that's scary to think about it. I'd stay in the truck.
Yeah. Wow. You know, during that year, there were all kinds of UFO sightings over missile, nuclear silos across the whole seaboard there, across the. And what was happening was that these missiles were being shut down. So, you know, the aliens were basically saying, see, if we want, we can neutralize this. And I thought that was an exercise in humility and a good way to say, you know, cool it.
Yeah, I think it's a very compelling thing, and I think that that's part that they're, I think that's part of the whole cover-up, because they know that they can do that, so people that know that they can do that don't want to tell us, hey, look, we don't have control.
Yeah.
And humans don't like it.
Humans don't like that.
But the idea of dogfights in the skies where our fighter jets are fighting flying saucers is totally absurd.
Yeah.
Right,
And,
that's matches against nuclear weapons. I
yeah.
mean, it's ridiculous.
yeah.
And I think, does it frustrate you that, you know, just through your experience, all the nonsense and garbage you see out there of these movies and the way they portray it and the way they talk about this, because it's so far from reality. Because if you talk to anybody who's been abducted or anyone who studies this stuff, it's very rarely portrayed accurately.
Yeah, and it's a missed opportunity.
It is.
There's so much storyline there that could be really used to advance some concepts that I think would really be helpful to people if they would just explore those ideas.
That's well put. I feel the exact same way. I feel very frustrated in my own life when I try to share with people, and then they associate a credible story or an incident like yours. They associate with some nonsense thing that was a movie or whatever. I'm like, these are two separate things.
Yeah.
You know, and we're here in Roswell, and look at how compelling the Roswell case is.
Yeah, very.
Schmidt and those guys have 600 witnesses that they've personally interviewed that are involved in Roswell. That's pretty compelling. Look at that evidence.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
That's huge. This is one of the strongest cases, and that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
And you know, like Stanton says, let's look at the facts. Let's examine this. That's compelling. But we don't want to talk about that. We just want to dismiss it and say it's nonsense.
Yeah. And, you know, when people don't want to believe stuff, you know, some pretty flimsy arguments are accepted at face value.
Yeah.
And, you know, that happened in my case. It happened in the case of, you know, look at the 6 different official government explanations for Roswell.
Right.
And they're all absurd.
Right. Now, do you feel like it's getting better?
And mutually exclusive.
That's right. Do you feel like it's getting better and stronger, like more people are accepting and more people are believing?
Oh,
Or do you feel
definitely.
the other way?
Yeah.
You
I
do
think
feel
it's
that?
we're reaching a tipping point. You
Good.
know, back in the 70s, that was the heyday for the skeptics. You know, they had the playing field. They could say things like, you know, the universe is probably so sparsely populated that, you know, even if there were life forms out there, they'd never find us and that kind of stuff. But now we have hard data. Now
We used to think
NASA.
there's only one, you know, no planets.
Yeah.
Now we have, what did Stanton say, 1.6 planets for every star.
Yeah.
25 years ago, this was unimaginable.
Yeah.
We interviewed a guy from NASA. He's a NASA scientist, and he was talking within, you know, 10 years, we have hundreds of thousands of planets out there.
Yeah,
So
you know, so they can numerically quantify the numbers they're plugging into the Drake equation are exponentially bigger than they thought, you know, 40 years ago.
yeah.
So, yes, the argument has tipped in the favor. You know, I defined kook. You know, back then, a kook was somebody who believed in aliens.
Yeah.
Well, now, a kook is somebody who believes we're alone in the universe.
Right.
That's right.
Because that's believing something that runs contrary to known scientific evidence.
That's right.
And there's the idea of us being alone is really pretty far-fetched.
Yeah.
I bet at the end of the 70s, this was much harder for you personally. You probably took a lot more ridicule.
Oh, yeah. And it was easy for the ridiculers because the current was flowing in that direction, you know,
Right.
that this is outrageously ridiculous, you know.
Well, it's great that you stuck with it and have been out
Yeah.
there and sharing your story with all of us, that now the tide has kind of turned.
Yeah, it's
And
no
probably
longer
more people that
ridiculous.
believe than don't.
Yeah, and the skeptics are the people who are being shown to be foolish.
Right.
And to even get through the Freedom of Information Act, you know, the FBI file on my major critics and find out that the FBI thought he was irrational and whacked out, you know.
Do you feel like maybe we'll get some sort of government disclosure or nothing?
I don't think they will, and I'm not even sure they should.
Yeah.
They're playing a role of holding back certain things they know, and it's not for any nefarious reason in my view. It's for a similar reason that the aliens aren't making
As I
open
think aliens
contact.
are keeping this clandestine by choice. If
Yeah.
they wanted to, they could just park it right in
Right.
See, with their level of technology, the aliens could come to this planet, explore and observe and do whatever they're doing and remain completely undetected. They have cloaking, they have technology, there would be no UFO if that's the way they want it. The reason we are getting glimpses is because they are permitting it to a measured degree. I really the longer I think about it, with their level of technology, you know, it's never, oh, slap my forehead, oh, gee, the human spotted us again. Oops. No, it's not like that. I think they're allowing themselves to be seen to just a specific degree.
Yeah, and I wonder which way that's going. Maybe they're just easing us into the bathtub, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
And just accepting the fact of it is a huge step. Now, other aspects of us being ready have to do with, you know, being so much nation state warlike, all this sort of, excuse me, viewing the world in terms of who has the greater amount of force at their disposal.
Stanton talked a lot about that too, how this experience and Stanton's studies make us reflect on these things and what a warlike people we are. And he talked about World War II, we killed 50 million people.
How they must view us.
Exactly.
I'm sure they don't look at us too
Who wants this neighborhood?
They know we're not ready.
Right.
And even, not just because of the harm that we would do to each other or to maybe to somebody else, but also just the harm that would come to ourselves, just self-destructive things that would happen, and just from the collapse of the global economy for no other reason, you know. So there's lots of reasons that this has to be done incrementally, gradually, and everything in due course, everything in its proper when we're ready.
Understood.
Oh, you're amazing.
Well, thanks so much, Travis. Listen, it's a true honor to have you on the show. I'm sure everyone's going to be interested to hear this story. We're going to wrap it up there. This is Captain Ron and Tony Sweet at Roswell's 70th anniversary.